Police Minister Bheki Cele has spoken out against the killing of police officers and members of community policing forums. This comes after the murder of the Deputy Chairperson of the Gugulethu CPF, Lulama Dinginto. How do CPF members protect themselves, especially during the festive season when the increase in crime levels have warranted the deployment of more police officers? Executive Chairperson of the Gauteng Community Police Board, Thokozani Masilela, joins us now to talk about the safety of CPF patrollers. Thokozani, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning. What measures are in place to ensure the safety of CPF patrollers, especially during this time of the year?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Patrollers are deployed together with the law enforcement. There is always parade and OP that are signed that make sure that we know who is part of the operations. So these operations are intensified during the festive season in all provinces, but let's also look at the Gauteng province where we deployed. You know now that even the soldiers are now part of that deployment. So all the law enforcement do a parade and make sure that all the necessary are made. And they're talking to each other and deploying in groups is done. But also importantly, remember, they also gather information as part of the intelligence. So it's not pure, only just to be part of that operation. Some will be in the operations, but not where they're deployed. They're part of the SAPS and other law enforcement agencies who would know who is deployed where for what, and who is undercover also. So it's ongoing part of that safety process. But we've done this in the few years that we managed to deploy the festive season. And also the liquor industry has also come through to the party with resources for safety ambassadors that we have deployed through the radio networks, PT Talks and Safer City Connections. We are hoping that we improve this every year and every quarter as we deploy people. We are intending to have this technology so that we can track our people with obviously the technology that says track me. But importantly is that our code of conduct actually gives a direction as to what do you do when you are deployed? What do you do when you are threatened? What do you do when you feel uncomfortable? What do you do when you see acts of criminals and criminality as a patrollist? So all that forms part of the safety of our people as they are actually deployed. But that goes also to individuals and members of the community that will also assist us in reporting. Some are very comfortable to speak to our patrollers, our crime wardens, and that information is then taken through to the law enforcement.
I mean, you make mention of what it is that patrollers are supposed to do in situations of danger. How much training do they get, especially for situations that are potentially dangerous?
Our training is ongoing. The training is done. Remember, number one, we vet and screen our patrollers twice a year, but every quarter those that will be deployed for a specific period are also then taken through by the SAPS and the other law enforcement to understand what is the operations initiatives and what is the end product, what is expected out of that particular operation. Festive season, you have your ticks, your hotspots, and you are as deployed, you are expected to report in that particular area so that you are not exposed in areas that you are not familiar with. So it's within your community and your areas of being deployed. But like I just mentioned to you that the other role players that have come through have helped a lot with the resources. You must remember that the Minister of Police also has given some resources that we procure. The Gauteng government has given some resources in the fight technology is concerned. We have not received all of that because the procurement plus the process of setting up. But the joint operation centers that are in place together with the security companies that we are working with and obviously our community intelligence network areas that we have are assisting in making sure that our people remain safe and don't engage when they are threatened.
And I can imagine that safety briefings and updates on safety protocols is a standard procedure that happens from time to time.
high discipline, high command. It's always emphasized during these briefings in making sure that your safety comes first. Don't do something if you're not sure, but make sure that you are covered by your colleagues. Make sure that there's law enforcement, there's those that are tasked to do arrests, and make sure that you're comfortable in the space, but you're safe. And if you're not safe, if you're in doubt, you know exactly what to do at a particular time.
You made mention earlier on of resources that you're receiving from the Department of the Police, and also resources that are being given in terms of controllers by the liquor industry. How often do you find communities and other people from private sector contributing towards resources that could go very far in terms of assisting in the protection of the CPF officials?
Now, recently, we have seen a lot of the private sector coming to the party. I won't mention them here, but basically, we are seeing that the infrastructure disruptions, those that own those networks, have come through, but also normal business that would operate in that particular area that have shown interest in making sure and shown an appetite to fight crime. So we're seeing a lot of business, but also government state entities that are also putting money or resources our way so that we are able to make sure that. But obviously government plays a very important role and has been playing a important role in terms of making sure that we are visible where we're supposed to be visible and not visible where we are not visible, in terms of your uniforms, your jumpsuits, your boots, your torches, your handcuffs, all those what we call CPF toolkits that you can't go without when deployed. So we're seeing that appetite, and we are encouraged with those resources.
Most certainly. Speaking of the Gauteng area, are there any specific areas or situations where CPF patrollers are at a higher risk of facing safety threats?
There are certain areas, as you will know, that Gauteng has more or less 25 high risk areas of concern. But we're lucky that in those areas, the law enforcement, those that are deployed, the JMPD, the Gauteng traffic, the SAPS, and now recently the police, where the Zamazamas are operating, you would know it's very dangerous because they find that they are highly armed and heavily armed. Your areas of Primrose, your Florida, your Roodepoort, some areas of Roodepoort and so forth. So where you would find that there are old dump mines, it becomes one hotspot for our people. But we think that government has also deployed soldiers in those areas. The community intelligence remains very important, because when deployed, we are able then to give this information to those that can match those particular criminals. And then you also have our patrollers that are deployed in your freeways, and those that are driving with your flying squad, your highway patrols, also have technical response, saturation units, and some dog units in some areas. So you would then see. But this time of the year, specifically in Gauteng, it becomes a little bit quiet. But that is also become dangerous, because when it's quiet, some of the criminals that have not made the loot or have not tried to make the loot during the city buying season are also highest alert now, right up to the end of January, because those will be coming back here. Okay,
Thokozani, thank you so much for your time and just for giving us those measures that are being taken in order to protect those that are serving within the CPF. That was Executive Chairperson of the Gauteng Provincial Community Police Board, Thokozani Masilela.